Y'all ready, guys?
Welcome to Princess and Scoundrel.
Have I ever been here? Have I ever been here?
Have you? Who are you? What are you
Welcome,
doing
I
here?
don't know.
Are you
I
a
love it
princess or
here.
a scoundrel?
Definitely princess.
That track.
Yeah.
I'm an Allen.
Didn't even have to think twice about it.
So welcome.
Welcome.
This is our typical time to live stream on Princess and Scoundrel, but we are joined by some very good friends of ours, the Mosh Eisley crew. Most of the Mosh Eisley crew. Deanna is not here, but we have Adam, Mike, and Nick from Thank the Maker. Say hi, boys.
Hey.
Hello there.
Hi.
Hello there.
And also, just to set things up, we are live streaming here on YouTube on our Princess and Scoundrel channel. So if you are new here,
But
welcome.
also here on Instagram.
We're also on Instagram on the Mosh Eisley Instagram account. So we're in two places. So wherever you want to see us, if you want to look that's like a totem pole stacked on top of each other, go to Instagram. Yeah, we're stacked. We got a ton of people, like a ton of people in here on both sides. So hello, everybody. I feel really silly now about spilling my drink all over myself like 2 seconds before this.
We need
started.
a better
We
like
should all- we
intro,
should all
like
spill our
roll into
drinks.
it.
Please, everybody. You're not cool if you don't pee your pants.
Pour some out for the homies who couldn't go to the last one.
Ooh.
Oh, we had a couple homies. We have one. Patrick? He's saying 2 times in a row he's got tickets but didn't go because of sickness.
He was down.
That's an expensive ticket.
Down with the sickness.
Thank
Oh,
you.
nice. That's a
Thank
good
you.
one. Add it to the list.
So,
Okay.
That's what
So
this is about. We're adding Disturbed, Down with the Sickness to the set list. All right. Good night, everyone. That's what we brought you all
That
here
was it.
for.
That was the big reveal.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of people in here. So let's kind of set the scene a little bit because we did just we're just coming off of our biggest Mosh Eisley to date. This was our 5th event that we've done. Is that right? 5th? Yeah. This was our 5th
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real fifth or fake fifth?
Real 5th. Fake
We
6th.
have I just so people aren't in the dark, like we did an LA Galaxy event out here in LA last May, and we kind of count that as like a 0.5, like a half of an event.
Yeah. So we're at
I'll
five
Call
and
it
a
a quarter
half.
of an event.
Yeah, a quarter. We'll call it what it is. It was a quarter.
yeah,
So
it still gets credit. but
5.25. Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
round up.
Yeah.
But this was our 5th event. It was our biggest one. We did it in Orlando. So we wanted to talk about that for a little bit because I don't think we've really done a recap anywhere except for maybe like a quick like 2 minutes at the top of like each of our podcasts recently. But we had almost over 1,000 people in attendance on this one. And it was just like, it was crazy. Like being up on stage and looking out, there were just lightsabers like everywhere.
Lightsabers.
I think that's
Maybe-
the best part is every time it feels like there's more of a sea of lightsabers.
It's amazing.
Yeah, higher percentage this time than ever.
High lightsaber ratio percentage.
I would say just in general, being near Disney parks helps because people have lightsabers. And then, if you haven't been to a mosh before, we sell an inexpensive, dare I say, can I say disposable? They're not disposable. Like you're not meant to throw them out. But
Yes.
if you want to spend $20 and have a lightsaber for the night,
One
Dude.
went
Rage.
flying by my head at the end of the night. So someone was like, I'm done with this thing. And yeah, that was destroyed. But I think the other thing too that's interesting, like Nick and I saw the photos and I was like, was that what it really looked like? Because towards the end of the night, as people's batteries start wearing out, like you start to see less lightsabers, but like right at the beginning of the night, you're like, this place is you can see this place from space. Like it's amazing. So yeah, the sea of lightsabers. You know what? If people are coming to the next one, which we'll get to, bring 2 lightsabers. Like bring extra batteries.
Why
Keep the lightsaber going, you know?
Grievous style. You just start collecting them.
Incorporate it as part of your costume. Bring it. Let's make a contest. How many can you bring? It was amazing though. We've got people counting in there. 1,000 people, sea of lightsabers, 1 Wookiee, a bubble gun. The bubbles were we were talking about the bubbles like just before this. So Trisha was in here. She dressed up as like a punk stormtrooper and had a bubble gun. And
So awesome.
the pictures look like this entire like 1,000-person capacity venue was filled with bubbles. Like that was a very impressive bubble gun.
I feel like it inspired. I'm like, we have to buy 2 of those at least. That's
Yeah.
got to be a staple. There were
Yeah.
2 things that happened in Orlando that I'm like, oh, this is a staple of our show now. And I feel like bubble guns is one.
How'd
And I
you
don't know
feel
if
about
we-
the balloons?
Bubble guns and balloons.
I think
This is a birthday
for
party?
regular emo night, balloons are okay. But when people have lightsabers, it's not okay. Because they were just like, a balloon.
Well, I mean, they weren't real lightsabers. We weren't slicing through them, but yeah, they were popping.
Oh, yeah, people were. Yeah, and I think if anything, it was like Halcyon lightsaber training. People were like, "Oh, now's my moment to show."
That was a good time, but a ton of people there. We had some really great vendors. I feel like we should call out some of the sponsors that we had that participated there, because I did just see Gabbercrate join over on Instagram. They were there showcasing. They had Scoundrel ponchos. They had T-shirts that they were selling.
I had to go get my Scoundrel shirt over there
Yep.
at the end of the night.
And like just
I
a
love-
great
I
display.
love
Like
their stuff.
she
Yeah.
went all out. The team was amazing. Everything looked so good. And then we had Crafted Cores there, which was a sponsor at our very first Mosh Eisley #1. They sell kyber crystals for some of the scrap that you can get over at Savi's workshop. Really, really cool stuff. They've done some great things for Ahsoka, for Star Cruiser, for just pretty much anything within the Star Wars community they have made. And even outside of it, they've done like Spider-Man and Jurassic Park type stuff too. So really cool stuff. And then we had our own merch that we were selling, as well as are none of us wearing our own merch? No.
No.
Well, we
It's
didn't
all
sell these. We didn't sell
2 feet away from me on these shelves right here.
in our stock room. And then we also had Pinch of Salt Bakes, which, if you don't know who Pinch of Salt Bakes is, that is a baker from one of the people that worked on Star Cruiser. So
One of the
you may-
friends.
One of the friends of Gaia from the Star Cruiser. And so she brought some very special boxes of cookies that were themed to, very elevated in flavors, but themed to the Star Cruiser characters. And so we knew that there was going to be a lot of Star Cruiser fans that were coming to this event because it was around MegaCon and it's in Orlando where Star Cruiser was. And so she came out and she sold that. She sold such like individual
Yeah.
cookies, like sold out instantly, because she was like, I want to party too. And I was like, don't you worry, you will sell out before the show even starts. And I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fantastic to have some sponsors that have been there from the beginning, some new sponsors, and just show some love. We had like a whole corner of booths
venue.
back there. And it was a great space to do it into. We had it at Sun on the Beach, which was in Old Town, which we heard was the largest event that they've ever had out there. Like they were unprepared from a parking standpoint to house all of
We
these
let
people.
everybody know that
We
there was
did.
no parking. So.
We tried our best to let, and I haven't really heard many people complain, but I'll just put it all into perspective. We got to the venue that day at around 11 a.m. and we barely got spots.
Yeah.
So you're lucky if you showed up anytime after that and actually got a spot.
For
Yeah,
real.
we literally had to like
Lay on the ground.
lift back to the house to get dressed and then lift back to the venue so we wouldn't lose our spot.
Mhm.
It was intense. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a great show. We had a little bit of a story in keeping with the theme of keeping it kind of Star Cruiser related. We had some other friends of characters of Star Cruiser participated in our story. And it was a good time. I don't recall the entire story. I think we ended up babysitting Grogu for a while. That's what it was, like a birthday party. We had bubbles,
He was left
balloons.
in our care.
Yeah. We
50-year-old
babysat.
babies.
That's our thing.
Can
That
I?
sums Mosh
I
Eisley
was
up.
I was talking about staples earlier of the show. Now, could I tell people what I don't think any of us saw on stage, but Megan literally. There's a video of it, and we're going to post it. I guess we have to after I bring this up. Megan legitimately just like kindly, as if Grogu was actually alive, placed Grogu into the crowd, and Grogu crowd surfed. And I'm like, well, we have to do that every Mosh Eisley now. This is
Yeah.
insane.
That's
And
a
someone
big
got
boy
a
now.
video of it. Like, oh my God, we
Yeah.
missed it, fully missed it.
Right.
Yeah, we did not see that. That was great.
Yeah.
Seeing it after the fact was like, what a moment.
Grogu crowd surfing. Oh, see you later.
You should just have him like touch activated, so as he's like almost like
Just, like,
like a
coos.
tickle me Elmo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm into that.
It was a good time. So Julie's mentioning costumes. I was Captain Kevin. I did it so for my costume, and we'll go around and talk about what our inspirations were for our costumes for this
Well,
one.
Before we kind of go past the story,
Okay.
you know, we got to give a little shout out to Adam for working on this story. Adam, do
Hello
you want to
there.
kind of like give like a small synopsis if you
Yeah.
didn't get to really like, you know, it was crazy there. So I
Yeah,
think
if you were raging
just so we
too
could
hard
get
and you
some,
were too
yeah, we
drunk.
could get some recognition for the story. Just all this work that you did. Let's
Did
get
that
it out there,
happen,
like,
Adam?
This is what happened.
Yeah, that's what was happening out there.
So we had a 3 scenes, right? It was
3
was-
scenes, yeah,
okay.
and it turns out it's a little much for a party. We're learning. It's a little much to take in, like a full blown, you know, kind of theatrical
There's
experience.
too
Unless
much
you
kind
wanna
of
start yelling
libations
at
going
people.
around.
Adam was writing Tarantino level details in this. Like
There was
he,
some
he was
very like
There wasn't enough feet for
sensual
Tarantino, though.
stuff about some Wookiees in there too. Like
Well, what
background.
What about, why don't you just get real Will Ferrell and be like, hey, everyone, shut up. Just on the mic, like, yo, stop it.
get off the shed.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I overwrote the thing on purpose because I knew we would have real actors. So, like, you know, there's 2 paragraphs to set the tone of the script before the thing even started. You know, a whole description of like, you know, this like lonely desert town, you know, and describing the cantina that these characters are walking into, even though outside it's, you know, Old Town Kissimmee, Florida. So 3 scenes. The idea is that Din and Grogu show up. They land a little off, you know, off their target landing on Batu, you know, because we're Batu adjacent in Florida. They land there, and basically Din is like, hey, I need to get to Black Spire. I'm supposed to meet somebody there. I was thrown off course. If you have anybody here that can get me into town, I'd appreciate it. So he's speaking to the owner of the bar, the cantina, who was played by Megan, our friend from the Star Cruiser cast. And she says, yeah, of course we can help you. Well, don't take the baby in though. It's rough out there. So we keep Grogu. He trusts us basically, like reads the room, feels the vibe that Mosh Eisley is a safe place to leave the kids. So he leaves Grogu with us. He goes into town. Show carries on, and then Imperial remnants show up. A former Imperial officer who thinks the Empire's still real, and a couple of stormtroopers. They're looking for Din and Grogu, wanted individuals, right?
Up on the
So-
screen. The
Yep,
wanted
they put them
screen,
up on
yeah.
the screen, and they, you know, there's this big monologue about we're looking for these wanted individuals. Bar owner comes back and says, wait a minute. Now, these are all law-abiding citizens. You need to hit the bricks. There's nothing going on here. And they said, no, we're going to conduct an investigation. She says, fine. They do that. They hang out for a while. We've switched to like Imperial mode. We've got the wanted posters on screen. The logo's red instead. You know, we get that going for a while. Then after a while, Din comes back. The Imperial, of course, rushes up the stage. This is the wanted man. Troopers arrest him. Blah, blah, blah. Bartender comes back up, gets in the middle. Long story short, she says, arrest them all, or arrest them both. And then Kersantin walks out to have Din's back. Din says, you sure about that? You sure about that? Kersantin roars. They scare off the Imperials. They go running, and we party with them for the rest of the night. Grogu comes back out. He crowd surfs. Bob's your uncle.
Right.
Well done.
Real nice synopsis of it. So now, if you weren't there, you kind of have a gist of what we planned. I think what we executed. I think the hard part is people are just raging and having a great time. So sometimes they get that little detail. Those little details get lost.
Yeah, it was
Well,
a great
going on.
story.
The opening of the show like got the reaction I think everyone was expecting when we had our friend Kiefer Jenkins from Jetstream Inc. that modeled the N1 and then literally made us a custom animation of the N1 coming out of hyperspace and going over Florida. And it like flies in over the carnival, and like people like lost their mind, right? Because then
Yeah.
Din walks out and we were like going for immersion, you know? And then what's cool about it, you couldn't really hear it in there because people started cheering, but he was actually listening to Sum 41 as he was coming
Yeah.
in, which is hilarious. But then to have like, you know, our friend Jason Chiodo do a lot of like essentially re-speecher lines for Din to get it. So, you know, we have a lot of talented friends that are helping us put on this production. And, you know, I think that's what we have a lot of fun doing. They're little things that, you know, all in all, do we have pictures of a lot of the stuff? No, we don't. But like, if you were there to experience it, we try to make it a different experience every time. And it was really fun to see, like me having this moment for Adam, watching him get his lines read by professional actors. And like him and I both, like the first line, Sadie comes out in this, she's like, is it okay if I do like an English accent? And she's like, attention citizens. And me and Adam are both like,
Ripped it.
whoa, this is gonna be amazing. You know, so like it's incredible. It's an incredible amount of work that goes into it, but also the end results for us on this side of things are always awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Mike,
It's
and,
so
and I'm glad you said that, because I think that's the other part of it is like, you know, we're putting on these events and people are excited to come to it, but at the same time, we geek out just as much of like, hey, how about we try this, you know, try these different things, because like we're geeking out about it too. Like, how cool would it be if this happened, if we tried this and we tried this?
Let me say, Adam had super high hopes for Cantina Hour for this Mosh Eisley. And we had to be like, oh, maybe in the future we can work on that.
We're going to get
But
there.
it
We're gonna
actually-
get
One
there.
day.
But it accidentally happened like almost 60% of what we were talking about, you know, because
Yeah.
I really wanted to go next level and make it a real Cantina Hour with like hors d'oeuvres and stuff and like Twilight waiters and
Posh
shit like
Eisley.
that. Yeah, and you know,
Posh Eisley.
droids with serving trays. We didn't have waiters. We didn't have droids with serving trays, but we were looking out across the crowd during Cantina Hour, and there were legitimately like 6 species on the floor.
Yeah.
So good.
People showing up in full-blown alien costumes. There was a Hondo Onaka. There was a boss.
Trandoshan,
Yeah.
Yep.
A couple Twi'leks.
Twi'leks, yep.
Yeah. It was a lot.
We
And
had
we
bad
didn't
news
even-
on the-
in
it was
Zabrax,
more
we
and more.
had a couple. Yeah, we had Hera. We had a couple Zabraks. Like some of those. That guy
Yeah.
had Mosh in the back of his head. I'm like,
Yeah.
We had Chewie,
mhm. Yep.
including
So-
humans. That makes 7 species right there. So
We were missing this. We should have had one of these in the crowd.
one of those
Okay, Nick.
dogs.
You know what? Always. This is, now people
The
are
next
going to be
one,
like,
the next one.
now people are going to start liking the stream. Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Subscribe if you like Finny Boy. If you want more Finn.
You like
That
that?
was cool.
I
So
like dogs.
So we went out. I feel like we leveled up our costumes for this one a bit as well. Like Mike and Nick, you were cute little twins together. You want to talk about your costumes?
Yeah. I mean, what we were
Yeah.
probably.
Oh, look, Sadie just joined after we got done praising her.
Hi,
She got
Hello there.
summoned. Hey, Sadie.
Mike, what were we like? Maybe at most 3 weeks out. Like we're like.
Yeah.
I told you that my original idea was going to be Captain Rex, like same idea, but I was like, I'm just going to get a Rex helmet. And at some point it turned into a 332nd clone trooper. I was like, it's
Right.
more fun. You at least get like orange and blue. It's
Yeah.
Ahsoka based. But yeah, we had that idea to just like get leather jackets, fake leather jackets and Vans and stuff. And my lady Desi helped me do mine. You did all yours on your own. And then Nino, Wasted Fet on Instagram, hooked us up with those 332nd clone trooper helmets, which were great. You know, we were looking at buying those Hasbro ones because I know personally I didn't want to bother anyone like 2 weeks out to make a helmet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll just buy a Hasbro one. Who cares? And Nino was like, absolutely not. And within 24 hours, he had 2 of them finished.
Yeah.
That's
And,
wild.
and on the
That's-
way to us.
Yeah.
And they were so
I
good
think-
too.
Yeah, the whole thing, it was super fun walking around. I think when you do the joint costume or a costume that has a theme across multiple people, it always kind of like adds to the trooperness of
Definitely, yeah.
the vibe. And then for us to be able to punk stuff up, it's hilarious because we're talking with Ryan Key about it, and he's like, he comes out in his like Star Cruiser uniform, which is
Yeah.
basically full on just Star Wars cosplay, right? And he looks amazing. It's like, you know, he looks like an authentic scrapper from, you know, Corellia. He's got a Sons of Jeddah kind of vibe to him. And he looks over at us and he's like, I can't wear this. We're like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, you guys look cool. You're like punked up. And like, he's like, I gotta take this off. I was like, what are you doing? You can't do it. No. So I think too, and we can go around and talk about everyone's costume, especially Adam's. Adam crushes. But just seeing what people creatively are putting into people who are attending, like Forrest Davis was the punk trooper with, he made the mohawk.
Oh,
on
Oh, I
the
didn't
Star
realize that
Cruiser.
was
Like,
Forrest.
Yeah, that was
so excited to
Forrest.
see that.
Yeah, and it's just like, I think people, like, we have so many people that show up that this is like their own, like, it's hilarious that some people might not go crazy for the convention, but Mosh is where they're putting their energy into
Yeah.
making a punk Star Wars emo. Like, it's just, for a lot of people that I think like in high school were probably like, this is what I do to go to a concert. It's not a phase, mom. They're like having their second wind, being like, let's make stuff. It's cool. It's so in spirit of the Star Wars fan community. So I'm always like impressed by
Yeah.
who is coming to this and the amount of effort that people put in. The Roosevelt's crew with the custom X-Wings helmets, and I'm like, oh my God, these are amazing.
They were great.
But I
Yeah.
think the thing is it was initially costumes are encouraged, and the community has just blown that out of the water. Like, they are going, you know, above and beyond every time. You're like, oh my gosh, like, I want to see this costume.
Yeah.
You know, like, I remember seeing Forrest, like, him posting about it before, and I was like, I gotta make sure I see that, because and I mean, you could see it from the door because that mohawk is like lit up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, it's just, you know, incredible to see all these different cosplay and just the way they've mixed it, you know, punked it out, and it just looks fantastic out in the crowd.
Well, like, look, TJ's in the chat over on YouTube. She was like a punk Ventress, which
Yeah.
was
So
super
good.
dope. Bad Batch Mama, she did she was Hera, but she was Haramore.
Yeah.
And then
I
there
love
was
that.
there was a Paramore I think clone.
Mandalorian.
Was it
Mandalorian?
Mandalorian? A
Mandalorian.
Like a Sabine
Yeah, it
or-
was. But it was just like the amount, like, people are
Like,
doing that
that's an
for
effort.
our events.
Yeah.
It's not for the convention. It's not for anything else. Like, they're doing it to come to Mosh Eisley. And the fact that people put like that much time into what they're gonna wear for an event that we're the group of us are putting on is just like, that blows my mind.
Yeah,
Like,
Makes me so happy.
it's wonderful, but it's also like, oh my gosh, like it's just
Every
this little
time-
party that we throw.
Every time we used to go on the Star Cruiser, it was like, we can't wear the same costumes. We gotta start over again, right? And now I'm like, every Mosh Eisley, I'm like, I'm stressed out, man. What are we doing? This is
Yeah.
insane, you know?
Well,
Yeah, I
and
wore a
Mike,
t-shirt.
Oh, Mike, when you were saying, I remember
pants.
Ryan saying, he's like, oh man, everybody's like all decked out and everything. And I was like, how crazy is that to think that first you feel a little bit weird wearing cosplay out on stage. Now you feel weird not being a modified cosplay,
Yeah.
you know, like not a punked out, like that's the part where you feel weird. It's like the cosplay is not the weird part. Now it's like, I'm just regular cosplay. I'm not
Yeah.
a punked out one.
Yeah. You're like, oh, am I punk enough for
Yeah.
this?
Hey, I
Adam,
would
your
argue that
shirt-
mine was the most punk because I was like,
You said
you
F
know,
it.
fuck the costume. Yeah.
It made me laugh though, Adam, yours, because like
Non-conformist.
on our like, I would call them like family pictures of the group of us up there on stage before Mosh started, like during Canteen Hour, you had Ray on your shirt, but the way that it's lit, it almost looks like another person in the picture. And so like every time I look at it, I'm like, who's? Oh wait, that's just Adam's shirt.
It's a ghost. It's like behind the scenes on
The
3
Force
Men and a
Ghost.
Baby, where there was the ghost in the window. Anybody old enough to know that?
Yeah.
That's a deep
All
cut
right.
right
Absolutely.
The cardboard cutout.
Exactly.
there. Oh, it was, wasn't it? That's
Yep.
funny. Steven, you went with like a punk, kind of a punk-ish
Well, see,
pawn.
so I was like a little bit ahead of Adam because I knew I was gonna be backstage. So I was like, okay, I don't have to be on stage. I don't have to look pretty. I'm just gonna have just enough so if they see me out of the corner. So it was like a little bit of a Han, and
It was good.
I had a belt. That was about it.
And at one point during the night, you lost your shirt.
Well, because I was thinking like a little bit, Iggy Pop, like the shirtless look, but I wasn't there yet. At the end of the night, I had a couple drinks, and so I was feeling better. But
Right.
at the beginning, I wasn't able to do it.
Ripped it right off. I expect this at every Mosh Eisley from now on. For my costume, I went with. We knew we were doing it in Orlando, and so we knew there was going to be a Star Cruiser presence there, and so I was like, well, I want to do something to kind of pay homage to that because this is our first one that we've done in Orlando, and it wouldn't make sense to do a Star Cruiser thing anywhere else that we would do this. And I love my girl Captain Keevan, so I went with Captain Keevan of the Black Parade, and ended up making like a custom kind of jacket, like a band leader jacket. In her colors, in the navy blue and the baby blue, and it was fun. And I wore a wig and everything, and
great.
nobody knew who I was like the entire night. Like I had people come up to me after Mosh, and they were like, "It took me 30 minutes of seeing you up on stage before I realized that was you."
Oh, they didn't know who you were, as in they didn't know
No.
you was
Yeah,
Sarah.
like, who's this?
Yeah, they
this
were like,
girl up
"Where
there?
is Sarah? Who is this
Oh.
woman on stage?" Which I thought was pretty. It was great. Like during canteen hour, I would go up to people and be like, "Oh my god, hey!" I think I did it to like Wasted Fed. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they were like, "What?" They're like, "Oh, wait,
Do you
it's
know me? They're like, lady, we got to kick you out of here. This is
I know,
this is
it's
Mosh
like, this
Eisley.
is- Get out of here. Star Cruiser's that way. But yeah, it was fun. But I feel like in general we just like leveled up our costumes because we can move into this now. It's like moving to kind of like the history of Mosh. Like the first Mosh, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if people were going to dress up. We didn't sell lightsabers. I look back on like the pictures from the very first Mosh, and I just wore like black clothes. I think we all just wore like black clothes. We were like, we don't know what to wear to like. We didn't
I had
think
a
this was going to be
tunic. I had a
anything
belt.
beyond. You did, but we didn't think. I don't think any of us thought this was going to be anything beyond a
party.
one-time like party for celebration, like one and done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just wore what I had on at the con, which was terrible on stage. The giant poncho
Oh yeah,
and
A waterproof, sweat-proof poncho.
like a legitimate like maternity turtleneck that I got from Target underneath that happened to match the poncho. It was 130 degrees on my body under that thing. It was terrible.
The two of the sweatiest people were you and Boba Fett. 100%.
Mhm.
I mean,
Shout out
we
Kurt.
saw like the roots of what is now the costuming and cosplay and bounding, whatever you want to call it. We saw the roots of it there, where there were a decent, 2 handfuls worth of people who made punk vests, and we were like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that's cool." And then like every event that we've had since then is like exponentially more and more punk vests, and the creativity in Orlando is just through the roof. And yeah, I mean, like you were saying, Sarah, like we didn't really have a plan for it to be necessarily going the way it did. I think we knew that we liked the idea of having a Star Wars themed emo night, but to see the community embrace it and bring this sense of creativity, which we weren't like, hey, make vests, do this, do that. It just happened, and we were like, this is amazing. Now we have to be professional at this, and we're still not, but we're trying really hard to run a professional event.
Dude, even the idea of it being an emo night was not even on my radar. Like we ran the first one, I ran iTunes on my laptop, and setting up on stage like the playlist, I figured I was going to line up the playlist and hit play. I had it set to auto go. I thought we were going to go
gonna
hang
be
out
in the
and
crowd.
talk. Yeah, and just hanging
There was
out.
nobody
and,
going
like,
to be on stage. Yeah.
like just a party. Like the idea of it being like a stage focused like emo night just wasn't even on my radar. I was like, I guess like a half hour into the sort of pre-party cantina hour, which wasn't called cantina hour yet, and everyone was just staring at the stage, just waiting. And I was like,
Oh my.
I guess it all happens up here now. And then we just partied. Like, so that the whole thing was just like a tiny little inkling of what it could be rather than this grand plan, just
Yeah, it
happened
really would. Like,
organically, for lack of a less overused term.
I don't think any of us even none of us planned on being on stage during Mosh, because I remember you and I were up there and we were just kind of like in the back corner because we were like, wait, this is not like what we were planning at all. Like, we were supposed to be out there mingling and hanging out. And I remember Adam coming and like literally coming behind me and Steven and shoving us to the front. And we're like, whoa, no, what are we doing?
Yeah, like somebody go get in front of me. Everyone's staring at me in the awkward as hell. I don't know.
You're just like,
I don't
you
have a
guys go do it.
bass. What do I do?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I felt like, because we didn't have lightsabers then either, though.
That was why we instituted
Or-
lightsabers, because
no,
like we need
Dano
something.
had
I had
them.
one.
Dano brought like a
Nick-
ton of
Nick
lightsabers,
had one.
I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
was.
had one,
I
yeah.
bound it as Ray, and I had my
That's
yellow
right.
Ray saber.
We basically just had what we brought to the con.
Yeah.
Well, just
We didn't sell lightsabers. I think maybe we asked people to bring lightsabers.
Yeah, I think we encouraged or said they were welcome or whatever. So there was a decent amount for, in Chain definitely was the smallest room that we've held it in, but it was packed. It sold out in a week and a half. So it felt even smaller because it was packed. But yeah, people had a great time there. And then we immediately, I guess we didn't do one again until it was when we were
Vegas.
young, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So at that point, that's when we started to sell our own affordable lightsabers.
Yep.
I think that's when we knew, though. I remember being like, okay, we're gonna put this event out there. Like, we can have tickets, and let's see if people want to go. And then I remember someone was like, this might be an error in their ticketing system, but it says that we sold out. And I remember being like, what? Like,
Yeah.
how like, do we need to add more tickets, or how many sold? And they were like, they're all gone. And I
All of
remember
them.
being like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Okay, let's try it.
Yeah. It was none of us were expecting that with the first one at all. It was, but I think it what I want to talk about is like, we did something at a time, and not intentionally so, that people really needed, because it was, we were finally slowly starting to come out of COVID. This was like the first real big convention that I think a lot of people were going to, and the first time that people were going to be around a lot of people after
And it was
COVID.
celebration.
It was
It was
celebration.
too.
It was huge, and it was a way for people to reconnect with each other in a way that we hadn't been able to do for the last couple of years. And I think there was it was like a lightning strike. Like, there was something very special about it when it happened, because I think it bonded people that were there at the first Mosh Eisley, and it spurred this community of people, and everybody that's here watching is part of this community of like-minded individuals that really love Star Wars, and they really just want to feel at home. And maybe they grew up on emo music, maybe they listen to your guys' music, or maybe it's something that they found later in life because they just really love the people that love emo music and Mosh Eisley and Star Wars, right? Like, we happened into it, but it feels like we ended up creating this community of Star Wars is emo. Like, that's the easiest, the most succinct way to say it, is that Star Wars is emo, and all of these people get that. And to have just like stumbled upon it just because we're like, it'd be cool to hang out with everybody that we like hanging out with after Celebration. And now we're 5 major events in. We just had 1,000 people at the last one, and we've got big plans for more.
Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy that all of this, the whole thing, all of the layers as they revealed themselves were revelations that weren't part of the original thought process. Like we're all saying here, like I didn't even remember it, but my wife, even like months before,
you're what?
My wife.
Okay,
sorry, pronounce it wrong all the time. Said, like, I think, like, asked me, is there a Star Wars emo night? And I was like, no. She's like, there should be. And I was like, I don't know how that would work. I don't really, and just like, it didn't stick in my brain. And then we started doing this party, and she mentioned it again. And it's still like, I guess because I had only been to one emo night ever, and it was the thing we did in Vegas, Nick, where you came and visited me, and it was like a big weird one. It just didn't click that the overlap was there and possible, that this Venn diagram existed, this little sliver. And even when we were doing it, like, yeah, we'll play emo music and punk and stuff because that's what we're into and that's what our bands do. But still, the idea of it being such a perfect crossover. I've said this before, like the original trilogy is super punk rock. It's like, it's rebellion, against authorities,
Even how they made it, like behind the scenes, was punk rock.
Super punk rock. And then the prequel trilogy is super emo. Anakin's the most emo dude of all time. So it's so perfect, but none of us realized that ahead of time. It was happenstance and luck, and here it is.
Yeah.
And now though, like I feel like every time we do a mosh, there's a core memory that gets unlocked. And I think
Anger.
for people that kind of realize
Fear.
are yeah, exactly.
Hate.
But for people that go see Bayside and they go see Story of the Year and they go see Yellow Card to see all of your music, because we love all of your music, to see you guys in that different light as like fellow fans, I think is what grounds the whole thing in this idea that, like, truly, like Sarah said, this is a new community that's formed since this happened. And there's parts of it where, like, sure, do we feel like in some way like, oh, did we orchestrate this event? Yes, but this community is completely out of our hands at this point. Like, we are members.
They're
of
dictating.
It.
They're dictating
Yeah,
to us.
100%. But like singing and screaming Until the Day I Die as the closer, with all of these people just at the end of the night, exhausted, sweaty, burned out lightsabers, and people just going insane at the end of the night. I'm like, that was my core memory from Orlando, with Adam arm in arm and everyone's just holding each other up, our shitty bodies at the end of the night,
with my hair going this direction, like
yes,
yeah,
yes. But
solid
like
photos.
for people like, that understand the power of like what this is, it's a community thing. Sarah, you said it perfectly.
But it's amazing. So we had the first one in May of 2022 after Celebration. And then the next one, Nick and Adam, you guys were playing when we were Young Fest in Vegas, the first one. And so we were like, well, I mean, y'all are in Vegas. Dano's in Vegas. Seems like a good time to have another mosh. Like, that was a great time.
Halloween
That was
weekend,
literally
like
why we just said it.
before.
We're just like, everybody's there. So.
There was not too
Yeah.
much like forethought put behind it. Because after we did
Well-
one in Celebration, we were kind of like, maybe we want to do this around conventions, because people did dress up and we thought that would be a great thing to do. But then you guys all just happened to, like, there was three of y'all in one place at one time, and it was Halloween weekend and it's Vegas. We're like,
Yeah.
I mean, we can
The
go
Halloween
for it.
weekend let us get away with it being not a con.
Yeah.
And
Vegas, I think too, just like
And
Yeah.
it's Vegas.
so.
it was a different vibe because it wasn't around a con, obviously, and it's Vegas, so obviously different vibe. But it still
Yeah,
popped
comedian got on stage at one point.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. That was
You know,
But,
he's like always popping up on my reels now.
I know you sent it to me. You're like, is that the guy that got on stage at the end of March?
off. But it
Vegas was wild.
it was still bigger than the first one, so it was
Yeah.
a success on that level.
Yeah. So that one was a good one. That one I think was kind of like, it was a great one. It was a success. We sold out the smaller room, had to move to the larger room. And it was a great time. We had a ton of people there and a ton of cosplayers there too. But then we went back to, I guess, what we would call our roots with our third official one. We did do
The point.
LA Galaxy, the soccer team. Y'all, the three of you guys went and did that one because Steven and I and Dano were doing our Star Cruiser May 4th voyage. So it was like the team was split. We're in space. You guys are in LA. Like, that was a crazy weekend in terms of like, do you guys have everything you need? We're in space. Like, reception is terrible here. We're like, don't talk to us, but do you have what you need?
The answer was no.
Never.
That one was an interesting. Do you want to walk through how that one went at LA Galaxy? Because I have no idea. I mean, I saw pictures. I heard
I'll
what
just
you
say-
told me.
I'll say whatever, like, our lead time for that was like very little. So we weren't. We
Yeah.
were kind of doing it because, like, yeah, a professional sports team wants to have us there for their Star Wars night, sure. So, and at that point, like you said, we had only done 2, so we're like, why would we turn this down? And then, you know, I think with more lead time, in theory, it would have been better, but like Adam, you know, like the audio wasn't set up great.
Or it wasn't set up until it was time
Yeah,
to go.
yeah. And then they were like, here's this outdoor stage. That would be great for another time. We're going to put you over here, though.
Yeah. Dude,
So,
honestly,
we'll see.
the most important factor, which is like it made the biggest impression on me for the whole thing, is Star Wars is already removed from the soccer element of it, right? So to then add a Star Wars emo night, it's like we're a few degrees of separation away. There's enough overlap, you know, it was a big enough mainstream genre. It's 20 years, like everyone, it's classic rock now. Everyone remembers it. But it was separated just enough that when you combine that with the team not winning,
Yeah.
definitely not the
that's-
same vibe as showing up after a great day of
Yeah, yeah.
celebration and raging to, you know, taking back Sunday and shit.
But
Yeah.
what's
For the next
also
time, we got
important
to make
about
sure they win.
Yeah.
yeah,
Who do we
true,
talk
true,
to
true.
about
Well,
that?
Yeah, who do we pay off?
the other part about that weekend, which was really awesome, is, you know, we treat, and I think that it's I'm patting ourselves on the back a little bit, but like we treated that whole weekend like we were working, right?
Oh, it was a work trip,
And
yeah.
100%. So like Friday night we got in, Adam and I went over to Scum and Villainy. Nick met us there, and we checked in with like a bunch of people who were like we met Zach the Maker for the first time, like in person, like without a work agenda, right? And it was great to just like connect with people. And then we were actually able to go and see the office that Kiefer and Jason work out of. And so
Mhm.
in that process, building up that community and like truly taking, you know, not being like, oh, this feels like a vacation. It was a fantastic Star Wars weekend. Adam got to see Carrie Fisher's star that had just been revealed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. And that in the LA Galaxy, like for all the goofiness that happened, we still had a great time.
Yeah.
Saw some friends. It was a ton of fun. And
Got to
I
play with helmets at
yeah,
John Rodriguez's.
yeah.
And a
place.
real core, I guess, because we started in Anaheim, there is like a real core fan base of like, you know, our friends at this point.
Mhm.
That came. They were like, wait, you're doing what? Where? Okay, we'll be there. You know, like we still
Yeah.
had a solid 100 people who bought tickets like via us to be there.
Right.
Which was cool. So
Yeah.
Which I think that's the silver lining, because the fact that, you know, one, we got kind of called up to the major leagues,
Quite literally.
but the fact that we have like the best friends to just say, you know what, you're doing this, you know, in this random place, we're going to support.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like they make it happen, make that, you know, whatever the event is.
Yeah, because I don't think we announced it until like a week before it was happening. Like it was super short notice that it
That's
all came together.
all
We
the
had
time
talked
that
to
we
them.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had
that's all
talked to
the time
them
that
for
we
a
had.
while, but it was like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And so then finally it was like, boom, it's going to happen. We need to get this out there. We got to go, 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 go. That was crunch. That was a big crunch, but you guys pulled it off and it was great.
Yeah. Yep.
So then fast forward to what probably was I'm going to say like our biggest in terms of production.
I think that was our growing up. Like
We grew up after that, and we went to San Diego, and we went to San Diego Comic-Con, which like I think for us internally when we were planning it, we're like, we are going after the biggest Comic-Con, the biggest convention that there truly is. Like to us, I feel like Celebration is like a Mecca or whatever. But in terms of comic conventions, it's San Diego Comic-Con is the one. And we're like, you know what, we could throw a Mosh Eisley, no big deal. And we did, and we sold out, and we had this incredible production and show that went along with it. I mean, like Vader coming out like on the third story and just like ominously like looming over the crowd, like
Yeah.
that was, I felt like, oh, this is a business. This is serious. This is not as emo and as punk as we've been treating this. And we had to get super serious about it at that point.
Yeah, the Dad Batch guys crushed that whole costuming group. Raimi, Rami Shanaday especially, like, we gave him acting lines. Like he was like learning lines, and he was like, oh dude, I really want to do this well. And we were just having like so much fun with it. And the production of Ryan and Nick both weren't able to be there.
Yep.
And to have them, they filmed at Kiefer and Jason's studio in Scout Trooper armor, and they kind of like introduced the show, like there was like this, hey, we're gonna be a part of it. And it was like between Kiefer and Jason and the Dad Batch guys helping us out tremendously.
Yep.
That was a show. It was a spectacle. And I will always remember that one being like, damn, we are in an insane venue. We have all of these incredible production assets. The venue is we've got our backgrounds and
It was ridiculous. That
our
screen.
passes. Yeah, the screen was nuts. And then then we're on the pirate boat from Voodoo Ranger earlier that day.
Yeah.
Like, that was where I felt like we actually, at that point, we had purpose there. That wasn't just being shocked that that we couldn't believe that like we were doing another one of these events. That was one where I was like, damn, people are expecting a show. They're expecting a great time. And I feel like that was one that we worked super hard to deliver that. And I still hold that one very fondly in my memory, as we pulled that off, and I can't believe it when I see pictures.
We also had
Absolutely.
an entire custom built droid on stage that Steven made, and we
Yeah.
like
And
lugged
shipped.
to San Diego. He flew with us. We were like sitting there with the oversized luggage, like waiting for this crate to come out. Like, we've never done this before. Is this droid gonna make it across country
that
intact?
was
And it
Adam's-
did.
Adam's flight getting
Oh my
delayed.
God.
Oh
That he had-
man.
Adam left a Story of the Year show like
Mid-show.
mid-show.
From the stage.
From the stage. It was like taking his bag, like, all right, see you later. And then
The
because of
price
the
that Story
storms.
of the Year had to pay was 2 broken ankles.
Oh my God.
That's right. Him
No,
Yeah.
and-
broken
Mosh.
foot and a blown out Achilles tendon
Yeah,
that
there
Von's
you
still
go,
healing
so-
from. Yeah.
Oh,
Those were the sacrifices for Mosh.
Yeah.
But I remember we're going to like another party the night before, and Adam texts all of us. We all get it at the same time. And it was like, I think all of us were walking there, and we get the text. It's like, hey, just in case, like, I'm trying to get on a plane to get there, but like I might not get there tomorrow. And
Yeah.
I remember looking down at the text, and I looked over at everyone, and I was like, so who knows how to use Spotify?
Yeah.
I remember you saying that to me, and I'm like, nope, we're not panicking just yet. Like, things are
Yeah,
going to work
yeah.
out. Things are going to work out. And what time? I think we were going to load in at like 3 p.m. Adam, I think you walked into the hotel. We were having lunch. Like, we were
It
having
was
our
at
big meal before.
12:30 or
It
something.
was like 12:30, maybe later. And you're like, I'm here. I'm going to go die for 20 minutes in my bed, and then I'm going to the venue.
Yeah. It was insane, dude. It was just, it's one of those nightmares where the flight gets canceled, and then the line to go resolve it is as long as the whole terminal. And it's like, I'm screwed. I'm completely screwed. And Nick, I remember you texting the group like, okay, what's the backup plan for the playlist? And I'm like, I literally have everything with me.
Yeah.
Everything we need to do the show is in my hands.
Yeah.
So
Because I wasn't, Bayside had shows, unfortunately, and I wasn't there for that entire weekend.
Yeah.
But I also remember on Adam, like, trying to help you because, like, just get flights.
mhm.
Because I have some experience with, so half of my band lives in Nashville, and as much as Nashville wants to be a real city, it's just not yet. And when like things get like flights get canceled, they're like, well, the next one's tomorrow, like,
yeah.
so I've had half of my band need to be somewhere, and they have to drive to Atlanta or Birmingham, Alabama to get a flight.
Yeah.
So that automatically your situation, I was like, they have to go to Atlanta from Nashville. So maybe you could go to Nashville or Birmingham and get on a flight. And I was just
Yeah.
like looking up flights. I'm like, here's one, it's $600, book it.
Yeah.
So
It was like flights. You were looking up like rental cars to like get to these other cities. Like, I remember, like,
It was like what is it? The adventure. What's the show? Not
Like Amazing
Survivor,
Race?
Amazing Race. We were trying to get
Yeah.
the next flight
Yeah.
out of there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nick's
It-
texting like road trip plans. I'm talking to Jill on the other phone. She's booking flights and looking at other stuff. Like just booking, like Southwest. You just book another one. Like if you cancel it, you keep it and you get credit. Whatever.
Right.
It was just like all these contingency plans, and finally it just ended up that it was the 6 a.m. flight or whatever, and it worked. But I slept on the floor of the airport, and it was brutal.
Yeah, that was rough. But we made it. The show ended up being fantastic.
I watched it all from my bunk on my bus, but because of the time difference from Pennsylvania to San Diego, it ended just as you guys are like, all right, showtime. Like I'm reading the text, and I just basically did social media that night. I was just watching Mosh by reposting everything, and I'm like, Darth Vader's on the 3rd level. Like, oh my God, what is going on?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That was cool. And I think the other thing we should definitely call this out is we had Shauna Tripsick in attendance at that Mosh Eisley, which was absolutely incredible to have her there and to have her be.
She was kind of punked out, right?
I think that was the thing. It was a true honor because she went as like a fan.
Yeah, and she dressed up for it and everything.
And for the normies, Mike, explain who Shauna Tripsick is.
Shauna Tripsick is she took over most of the Star Wars TV productions and kind of the Mandoverse, Book of Boba, and Ahsoka and Mando season 2 and season 3. She's the costume designer. She's the reason everything looks the way that it does. And she passed away a couple weeks after Mosh. Our friend BK, who goes by Sword of Khalees online, became friends with her. She came into her coffee shop and was like, oh my gosh, like I've got the celebration patch, and they connected, and she was like, I think I'm gonna bring Shauna to Mosh. And she was like, we have this punk rock Star Wars party. And Shauna got to see a lot of her characters that she's worked on and helped develop. People like, Nate Ritchie, who is Chrysanthemum, the Wook Shop, and Captain Nader, and people come out and be able to authentically be like, your work has impacted me enough to have this be a part of my life and my experience in this moment. And like, for her to be able to experience that and see the joy that she brought to people before she passed away is like still one of those things where I'm like, when you believe in the Force, you see examples of it all over the place. And that was one of those times where I look at it very fondly and go, that was a pretty incredible moment that I'm glad that I got to experience on my short time on this planet here.
Yeah, no, it was really special to have her there. It felt, like you said, it felt like the work of the Force. So we had San Diego, and then we went all the way across country because people were screaming at us, like, stop doing West Coast shows. And so we said, fine, we'll go to New York. And so we went to New York in October for New York Comic Con. And that one was the opposite. The opposite kinds of stress.
New York, baby.
I think
New
that
York
was one of those things that we thought we knew what we were doing.
Oh,
and we saw that.
Humbled.
Yeah.
Very humbled. It's New York. Like, we were packing pre-orders in one of the hotel rooms, which is like this like tiny hotel room, and we had stuff just like absolutely everywhere. It was a rainy day. There was a show going on at the venue before we were supposed to go on, so we couldn't even get into the venue. We were supposed to get into the venue, an hour and a half before doors opened, and I think we didn't get in until about 30 minutes before doors actually opened.
And it was a Live Nation venue, and so all Live Nation premium members get in first,
which we didn't
I
know.
remember,
Yeah, we didn't
know that. We had no idea. And I remember looking up and being like I'm like, what time? When are people coming in? And then like 2 people walked in. They're like, yeah, let's go. I was like, how did you guys get in here? And why isn't everybody in here? And they're like, oh, it's Live Nation pre-check or whatever. I'm like, oh boy, this is some.
I don't know what that is. I never heard of that.
Thanks.
Never seen that. I mean,
but we had C-3PO open our show, played by Sunfield, who I believe is he's either on our Mosh Eisley Instagram or he's on the Princess and Scoundrel YouTube, but kicked off the show, which was really
awesome.
beyond cool. I think that kind of came together last minute, but
and again, I think that goes back to just the community that we have is just people have these awesome costumes that they just kind of volunteer, say, hey, how about this? How about, they just throw these things out there, and we're kind of like, sure, if you want to come out, you want to bring it out, like we're down for it.
Yeah.
The funny thing is with Justin doing 3PO is he's like, yeah, I kind of have to just like not eat for 2 days, and then it fits perfect. I'm like, okay,
Could you do
I guess
that,
don't
please?
eat for 2 days.
Yeah.
But that went off well, and that was a super late show. So I think doors were like at 11.
Oh,
We
man,
didn't even do a cantina hour because we were like, it's all past all of our bedtimes.
Well, we had to get all the merch in. Like me and Nick were just like
Yes.
everyone's humping our own merch in and trying to set up because the band or the comedy show was like getting their merch out. Roosevelt's is trying to get some like, they're doing a giveaway and they're like, we're trying to get our stuff in here too. Like that was a New York debacle. And I remember being like, we still had an amazing time. I look at pictures from that one very fondly too. And I'm like, that was super fun. It went way too late for all us elder
Yeah. Well, it
emos
started
and
at 11:15 technically, and we went
Yeah.
until like after 2. You know.
My
yeah.
birthday.
In New York,
It was my
and-
birthday.
yeah.
Somebody
in
brought
New
me.
York,
They're in the chat. Marco and Kat. They brought me cupcakes for my birthday. They were decorated
That's
like silver sea
awesome.
martinis. I was like, this is the best. And then we did lots of
That's
shots
awesome.
backstage for my birthday
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I remember getting back to the hotel room and being like, what time is it? Oh, okay, cool. 5:05. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And feeling just that I was so grateful for people who came and partied with us and went late into the night. Because like New York Comic Con is massive too. Like even the process of just walking to New York Comic Con, I'm like, I'm exhausted,
Yeah.
and then to do that all day and then be like, all right, cool. We'll see you guys in 8 hours when Mosh Eisley starts.
And that was just one cab ride.
God,
One Uber ride. So
that was the longest
Yeah.
Lyft ride ever. We went like 12
Yeah.
blocks, and I think it took us an hour. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna die in this car. Ugh.
Dude, it took me as long to walk away from the convention to find a spot to get the Uber as it did to get in the Uber and get back to the hotel.
Yeah,
I walked probably a quarter of the way just to get to an Uberable spot.
that's what
Yeah.
we
New
did
York
too.
well, no,
City.
we
and
had
even
they
then.
Ubered us
Yeah.
back to where we walked already. We were like, no, we already walked.
No.
It's take us away
Right.
from this.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
say this. It was great, but to use the phrase, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. That was the hardest we had to work to make it happen, to keep it on the rails, to make it a good
Yeah.
show. And
Yep.
like everything was just like, yeah, but you're in New York. Bah. Like
Right.
everything
Yeah.
was like, you think
It's
you're
so
gonna-
true.
That
Like,
was
oh,
the-
you
so
think you're just
true.
gonna go over there without a okay, yeah, go over there. And then you're like, oh yeah, I can't get over there without cap. Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Like, oh,
literally
you want
the
to park?
reason.
You want to park your van by the venue? Go 3 hours before and see if you get a spot. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
everything was just so New York that I was like, I from there, and I'm like, I totally forgot about all this.
Right.
Yeah.
Nick and I driving to New Jersey technically to go pick up stuff and then coming back and we have like Sonfield's like Mando blaster in the car and Nick's like, hey, remember like we're in New York, you got to like put all gun looking things away. And I remember being like, what? Like, is this real? And I remember being, oh yeah.
It's real.
very true.
But then the upside of it, I feel like the coolest part was the hang on Sonfield's boat the day before.
Oh yeah.
Like it was a hang. It was
I mean,
a good time.
he was the
We missed
star
it.
for us, not only being 3PO, but like we parked our van, in his parking lot in Jersey because there's nowhere to park a van long term in New York. That's not, $9,000. So Justin really did help. I mean, he helps with it just about everyone, but New York, he was the star for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, there's some crazy person in the chat yelling about where the next mosh is.
Whoa.
So I
Geez,
think
relax,
go-
Hondo.
2 minutes
Hondo-
behind schedule.
Hondo
Our
supply?
bad.
I mean, we talked. So after New York, we went to Orlando. We talked about Orlando, and that was a great time. I think we're all still kind
But
of.
where are
riding
we
the hype.
going next? Sarah?
But where are we going next?
Is
who
it
wants to say?
happening?
Is it happening? Are we
Nick-
doing this?
Nick, did you post already?
I didn't
Oh,
post.
no.
I'm waiting for I'm waiting for the
So-
words to come out of our mouths.
So I'm gonna say
Oh,
this.
my.
I'll say
you
this, and
posting?
then somebody else takes the next piece of it. We're not.
Okay.
What is it? One more thing. Actually, 2 more things. We're not announcing the next mosh. We're
What?
announcing the next 2 Mosh Eisleys,
Plural.
plural. Who wants to tell it?
I'm hitting the button. I'm hitting the
Oh,
button.
The button is up.
I can't resist anymore.
We're not building one.
Oh my
We're building two.
gosh.
2
There
destinies.
Bob
you
Iger,
go.
We're building 2.
There you go. So
Well,
We're
that's it.
going back to San Diego.
Return
we're
of
going
the
back to
mosh.
San Diego.
And We
Bought a one-way ticket.
the biggest show that we have been, or con that we've been requested to go to by so many people, has been Dragon Con. So
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit about returning to San Diego. And
Well,
then we'll
before
switch to
we get
DragonCon.
into it,
Adam, do you have to go?
I
You
need
have
to
to
bail.
walk to San Diego, right?
he's got to start walking now.
It's a long walk,
Right.
and then to make it all the way back to Atlanta in time, I need to get walking. Dirty South Eisley. So
Closing remarks.
Yeah.
San Diego's going to be great. It will. It's same venue, so we know what we're getting into, and we're going to try to level up if that's even possible. And then Dragon Con being like infamous for just the wildest costumes and the biggest parties, it just makes perfect sense. I'm so glad that we're actually doing it. We talked so much about it over the past year or so, and I couldn't be more stoked that it's happening. So details more to come. # more to come.
Thank you, Adam.
Let's all wave goodbye to Adam.
Bye, Adam.
Bye
Drift
now.
off into the force.
Love you.
We love you.
We love you.
Love you.
There's Adam. He's gone. So we're going back to San Diego. We had so much fun. I hope that this is something we can do every single year.
So I think that's for the West Coast, that kind of San Diego.
Like an anchor.
Yeah, they kind of made some space for us, and we just kind of,
Settling right in.
Yeah, settling right in.
So this one is going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, we're doing this Friday night instead of Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
It was also Friday last year.
Was it?
Mhm.
Oh, it was. You're right.
Yep.
I think we started our trip extra early, so that's why I was thinking it was a Saturday. So we're doing it again on a Friday night. It's going to be at the same location. We're doing it at Music Box. It was
The venue is awesome. The venue is so great.
amazing.
And like with the capabilities of it, and also like how close it is actually to the con, and how many people it's able to accommodate. I think for all of us, we all agree, like they treated us great. They, took care of our accommodations that we requested. It's walkable, which is honestly the biggest thing for us, right? Because we want people to be able to come
deal.
and party and
Yeah.
walk back to their hotel. It so many things about Music Box make sense. And we collectively, I remember we were like, should we do it again? And I think every single person was like, yep,
Yeah.
right there.
Like, I think it was like as soon as the show was over, we're like, we have to do this again. This was amazing.
Yeah, so now San Diego is going to be our first one that we actually go back to.
Repeat.
Yeah.
Can we do it better?
Volume
That's a lot of
2.
pressure.
It is a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
So it's
But I mean, in general, coming from a band world, like I like to remind people, like, hey, last time Bayside was in your city, the show sold out. So buy tickets. So last year, San
We sold
Diego,
out.
we're doing the same exact venue, and we sold it out with like a week to go, a couple days, maybe a little under a week. So assume it's going to sell out. So if you're at all on the fence about coming or buying a ticket,
just go ahead.
the last
go ahead
one
and get it.
last year sold out.
Friday, I think that was the only party to sell out at Comic-Con last year. That's what we heard. So yeah, and I think with this one particularly, I think people understand now that they're it's not, I think in some ways, like we always get thrilled and we always are so appreciative of people buying tickets, and we do the merch bundles, and we've gotten better about the merch and to just make it a little bit easier. And I think people are starting to get the system down, like there's going to be a poster, there's going to be an exclusive shirt and all that kind of stuff. But it is true. It's like at this point, the amount of people that will hit me up late and be like, hey, I decided to come late. Are there any more tickets? And it like breaks my heart to be like, I literally we don't, especially Sun on the Beach for Orlando had some bit of expansion in it. So we were able to go a little bit bigger, but Music Box is like, we are at capacity. So if we say tickets are running low, like get those
Buy them.
tickets, because
Yeah.
we cannot go bigger than that.
But I think that's a big thing to like kind of take focus to, because Sun on the Beach was a lot larger, like the capacity was a lot bigger than any of the other places, so it was like our biggest one yet. But if we're going back to a place that we've already sold out before, people
It's
are
gonna sell
aware
out
of
faster, yeah.
Mosh.
Right.
It's
right.
may be a little bit harder to get those,
Yeah.
those spots.
Yep. I
Yeah,
agree.
I guess, basically what you're saying, Stephen, it's like if you're friends with us or work with us or whatever, when we could get you in for free, we'll get you in for free. But like a place like San Diego, where I know, even though I wasn't there last year, I dealt with the venue a lot, and they were so strict about capacity, and
Yep.
Our crew list,
like I
we
said,
didn't even have a guest list. It was like a crew list, and it was like,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
guys, are you sure you need
they were gonna
this
kick
many
me
people
out.
on stage? Yeah.
Because
Like, we barely made the list.
Yeah.
Sir, they're like, sir, who are you? You're like, I'm.
Did
this
you say
is part
I
of my
am Mosh
event."
Eisley?
Yeah.
I should have said that.
Yeah, so for San Diego, definitely as soon as we announce it, we are not announcing when tickets go on sale yet. We still have some work to do there.
Working
to
on
make
it.
sure-
Keep a lookout. Keep a lookout.
Keep a lookout. We put the hurt on Mike on when he's going to design the next dope poster and the next dope shirt that we're all going to be wearing. Because
Classic Hondo supply, right?
it all falls on him. But let's give credit to Mike though, because Mike has made some absolutely incredible posters and T-shirts and designs for Mosh Eisley.
I think Mosh, the what we've put out wouldn't be what it is without Mike.
Yeah, and
Agreed.
also he is a maniac on stage.
I mean,
Like an
I burn
absolute
a lot of calories.
the
I burn a lot of calories.
Mosh
that's
is
true.
all on Mike's back right
Yeah,
now.
Mosh
so.
is Mike's cardio.
Sure, absolutely.
Are you Mosh
you-
Eisley?
I think
Yeah.
you are
Are
Mosh
you
Eisley.
Mike Eisley.
I'm passing the torch. No more,
But this-
no more of me screaming it to people on the street.
No, but really though, like I think what's really cool about it though is like how much people have vibed with the aesthetic of everything that we've done, right? Because for us to kind of that crossover for me, like punk rock was probably one of the most influential things in my life, right? And so I would be going and seeing Bayside, I would be going and seeing Story of the Year and Yellow Card on if we didn't have this, right? So this is all part of all of our lives with or without Mosh Eisley, right? So to be able to kind of play in this sandbox of Star Wars and punk is like truly two dreams come true. But also like the demand is there. Like we wouldn't be making cool merch and me putting so much effort into the posters if people weren't responding to them, you know what I mean? And I'm very grateful for people as a creative person, for people, Nick knows this, and you guys know this from running a YouTube channel, that for people to interact with your stuff is the greatest compliment that we can get when we're making something, we're putting effort into something. So I'm grateful for every person that has a poster sitting up on their wall, that's wearing one of the shirts, that's just like representing the brand, because that's when you talk about community, everyone is going out and representing what fun this is, because without everyone's energy from the crowd and this circle, right, the force is always moving together, right? That's what makes it happen. So it's absolutely a pleasure of mine to be able to put as much time and energy as I do into the brand, because it's for people who are living Mosh Eisley in this way. So I'm grateful for everybody that's picked up a torso cover, a little bit of paper,
Blouse.
18 by 24, a blouse. But it's been awesome. I'm excited every time, we get a new theme and a new vibe and a theme. No, not yet.
Ooh.
Not yet. Not yet.
We still have some beans. We still have beans we're keeping to ourselves. Right? Like we're not spilling all of them just yet.
So we're talking about San Diego. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
Well, for San Diego, it's at the same spot. If you hadn't been there, it is. I forget who mentioned it earlier. We do try to keep things as close to conventions as possible. I want to say, I just looked it up. The music box where San Diego Mosh is going to be is 1.1 miles walking. And I'll say, I know we're not really talking about Atlanta yet, but from the Hyatt in Atlanta, which is one of the hubs of Dragon Con, it is 0.8 miles walking. So we're really trying to keep, Mosh within at least walking distance or a cheap Uber, because I know people will be drinking.
And we did walk one time. I think that first morning we were at the con, we walked from essentially the venue, because we stayed by the venue, to San Diego Comic-Con. We
Right.
did not do that again. We did take lifts after that, at least like partial ways. But it was doable. It was fine. So as long as you're
Yeah.
staying somewhere in the area, you'll be able to get there fairly easily.
And the other thing is like the one thing that I realized too is that if you don't have tickets to San Diego Comic-Con, which are at this point are like nearly impossible because people are allowed to rebuy them the next year, right? So this is like a rollover legacy thing at this point. There is such a community outside of the convention. Dragon Con is like this too. There's so much stuff happening around both of these cities during this weekend that like if you don't have tickets to San Diego Comic-Con, come and hang just for Mosh. It's
Yeah.
a weekend to
Yeah.
have fun, and that's a part of, that's a part of us. Like we have all kind of learned that the con is almost like just like a little cherry on top,
Mm.
but being able to go meet up with people at the pre-party before and all that kind of stuff, like that's just as much fun for us.
I feel like
Yeah.
San Diego Comic-Con maybe no longer could like claim the title of like the biggest Comic-Con, like capacity wise or ticket sales wise, but I do think it's like the most influential because all the big, I know last year was different because of the actor strike and the year before that was different because it's coming out of COVID, but I really do think that this year will be maybe the first year that like all the studios are back. They have huge installations, and I haven't been to every convention ever, but San Diego Comic-Con bleeds
you?
outside of the it bleeds outside of the convention hall. Like you could walk for a half a mile and you still kind of feel like you're in Comic-Con. Like there are
Yeah.
huge. When I was there 2 years ago, it was House of Dragon installation, Severance installation. I know last year was like a Futurama installation. Like it is the studio's like kind of jumping off point for a lot of things. So if you don't even want to go to the convention, you can at least get into the area, and it's very, very fun.
No, it was fun. I mean, we ended up hanging out. I think we would just go have lunch at like one of the hotels that was maybe like a 5-10 minute walk from the convention, and you just sit there and you just watch all of the cosplayers going through. And it wasn't near any like installations or anything, but you could still just like catch great vibes without even going into the convention. So it was a great time. I think we are all like just thrilled to be going back.
And I think that's like just kind of like on that, we've had people that are experienced in San Diego and they go every year because of our legacy and they have a great time. But, like for us being the first timers, we had, I think, just as much of a good time as someone that has been there,
15, 20
Yeah,
times
15,
before. Yeah. No,
Right.
it was great.
Right.
it's just something I think it's one of those things you have to experience just to say
Yeah.
you did.
So we're doing San Diego. We're going back. We're going to Dragon Con. I don't think any of us here have been to Dragon Con before.
Nope,
Correct?
definitely not.
We've
Yeah.
not.
Okay. So this is our first
And-
one.
And this one is interesting because we have talked to a lot of people. Dragon Con is definitely what is probably the loosest convention, right? Like it's more like a lot of the hotels are connected. There's a lot of different stuff happening, but it's not like in the traditional sense of a convention. But it's a party, basically what people describe it as like 4 days of a party. And the recommendation that we had was to do it on Thursday because Thursday night kicks off Dragon Con. And a lot of people were like, Friday night is a freaking zoo from all these like legacy parties that are there. Saturday night's crazy. But a lot of people are looking for something to do when they get into town on Thursday night. So we said, let's do it. It's a smaller venue. It will sell out probably quicker than this. Like, I don't want to say like Anaheim level because I have no idea, but like just the size of the Masquerade this one will go quick. So when we announce tickets, when we have the packages up, get your scales in order and make sure you're on that button because this one will go. Hotlanta.
So I'm very intrigued by this one. So what Dragon Con has been explained to me is that it is a Dragon Con that was essentially like initially put on by the fans. So it's not put on by like big studios or anything like that, and they don't really have that big of a presence. It's mostly fan-based communities that put on the programming for this. So all of the panels and the cosplays and all of those things are typically like fan run, and so it's like a I don't know how to describe. They said it's just a very different feel, and that it's like truly just like a party. for
So
all the
hopefully we
Yeah, it's
throw
like, well, we
such a
party.
banger that the rest of the the con weekend
Just
people are
pales.
talking about Mosh, like comparing every other party, like, oh, that Mosh, like at the beginning, like we are setting the standard for that weekend.
We're gonna be just like zombies by the end of that weekend. I guarantee it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the exciting part about it is it's Dragon Con especially has always been explained to me that, like, if you are a costumer or you're a cosplayer, or you have some of the most amazing costumes that I've seen, like even the mini Rancor, and the our buddy Nino that does the 300 the Spartans, the Spartan walk, and they have these like huge parades that happen and all this. It's truly a costumer's paradise and a costumer's con. So for us to kind of adopt what's turning into our own little sub community of punk Star Wars, I couldn't think of a con that I'm more excited to bring Mosh to. That's felt like we've been struggling to we it's trust, like, and for people who are like, how the hell do you guys pick cities? Literally sometimes it's like we get an opportunity, we get an opening in our schedule, and sometimes it's about finding the venue. So I hope people, if you because that post went up today and people were screaming cities like,
know.
come to this place, and let's just say we read everything, we hear you, we want to come to all of these places. It always cracks me up too when you get someone who like maybe just found the brand and they're like, will you guys ever come to like Anaheim or New York? And you're like what?
Not anymore. God.
Right? I'm like, yeah. So I'm just it's so exciting. It's so exciting to have two to close out this year, and then oh man, what's 2020?
I mean, I feel like there's a decent possibility that there are more than just these two. You're saying close out the year. I feel like there is at least some percentage that there's more than this. We have
There's always
nothing
a
planned.
percentage.
We have
There's always
nothing
a
planned.
percentage.
Who knows?
Are we trying to plan? Maybe, but there's nothing else that we're no other secret.
These are the
thing.
ones that are we've paid.
Yeah.
We signed the contract. Yeah, we signed the
Deposits have been
contract.
made.
Yeah.
Man, a third mosh. Could we fit that in? Well,
This
we'll
is
see.
the third mosh. We did one this year.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Fourth. This would be our first.
So
our fourth.
far we've done 2 a year, right?
Mhm.
We just had our 5th one, and that was our first one for 2024. We've got 2 more planned, so we're already 50%
Mhm.
more mosh in 2024.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
we do more than that? Maybe.
It's possible, yeah.
Who knows?
I said Worcester, Mass, and people lost their mind over that today. They
I
thought
mean,
that
we're
was
getting
very-
some Delaware.
We've got Delaware. We've got
Delaware
all
as
kinds of
well.
Midwest. People
Oh.
really want a Midwest
Yeah.
mosh.
Gosh. Where would
Wouldn't
the
that be
best
great?
as a Midwesterner, where would the best city for a
A
mosh
Hawaii
be?
one.
I want to do a mosh cruise. I really want to do a cruise again.
Mosh cruise would be great. Overseas would be great. Like we were at Celebration last year in London, and
Arkansas, like straight in
yeah,
the
that would
dead
be cool.
center of.
Just in the middle.
Man, that'd be pretty good. So, I mean,
Well, it's
yeah,
it's
TTM
hard.
would be
It's
good.
the reason it's hard is you have me and Adam touring all the time.
These guys.
You
Seriously,
guys,
Rude.
You guys can
you guys
can
have
yell at
families.
Nick and Adam.
Listen.
You guys can yell at Nick and Adam all you guys want.
Tell
They
them
Or
to
will-
how
stop
about-
being so popular.
Or how about you guys with your families? You went and procreated.
What? Oh, I do have a kid. Oh
Yeah.
no. I wonder where she is.
What time is it?
So that's what makes things difficult. Like obviously, like I had to miss San Diego last year, and Adam bent over backwards to I think he missed a show or two, which I wasn't able to do. So we'd love to do more of these, but until it kind of, dare I say, takes over our lives and is like a main focus of our lives, like we won't really be able to do like, hey, we did 10 this year, but I would love to, but we'll see. We're not quite at that point yet. So it feels good being able to go back to San Diego, and like, it's just like, I can't help but kind of make everything relative to a band. But like when you have a good show in a city and it sells out, next time you go to book a tour, you're like, let's go to back to that place, you know? So that's why we're going back to Music Box. Like, up until then, that was our most the most fun, the most successful one that we've had. So we're like, no brainer, let's do it again. And we're also trying to spread our wings a little bit and do Atlanta because I think, Sarah, you said it's kind of like the most requested one that people have been saying to go to Dragon Con. So you know, we also do, like, I meant to say this earlier, we do like to play venues that our bands would normally play. So the Masquerade is like Story just played there, Bayside's playing there in April. So I think with the exception of the Music Box, I would say Bayside has played at every single stage that we've done. You know, I guess Sun on the Beach now, not, but
awesome.
you know, we did Gramercy, we've done Chain Reaction, we've done the Vegas Triple B spot. So we do, in that sense, try to keep it punk rock and emo and play places that you might even be familiar with if you've come to see our bands.
Oh, here we go again, Nick. This thing. Even the iPhone is like, yeah, I'm coming.
You got to deal with AI buying
Yeah,
tickets
right.
now too. So
Right.
Oh yeah, we had bots trying to resell tickets before our tickets went on sale for Orlando. Remember that? That was a good one.
Yep.
We're like,
I
wait
mean,
a second, how'd you
it's
get
kind of a
tickets?
good feeling because
You're on Facebook and someone's like, I have 16 tickets to Mosh Eisley. Let me know. And I'm kind of like, I run Mosh Eisley and tickets haven't gone on sale yet. So I would love to buy those tickets from you. I would love to
Yeah.
see where you,
Right?
right.
How's it feel, boys? Like, our secret's out. Like, we've been holding on to these two specifically for months.
Yeah,
Months now.
it's like the world has been lifted
I
from.
know, just
Not
I've been
for
trying
me.
to. I've been trying to.
I got to
leak
start designing right as soon as the live stream's over.
no. What are you doing now? We can take over the stream.
it. Yeah.
Peace out like Adam.
Yeah, I'm just looking at.
I've been trying to leak it. I've been straight up telling people that we're doing Dragon Con. So the fact that it wasn't like leaked, I was trying to leak it.
But I think the
I've been
thing
telling
is,
everybody too.
Nick, I think the thing is the community like loves it so much because I mentioned it. I'm like, hey, we're thinking about this place and this place like over in Orlando. So it was like the worst kept secret. But I think everybody was like,
Every new one is the worst kept. Every time, here's a little hot tip, a pro tip. If you come up to us at a current mosh and ask when the next one's going to be, every single one of us will tell you and be like, it's still under wraps, but here's where the next one's going to be.
if we know.
We'll tell you if we know. Yeah, if we have that information. Yeah, see, that's what I heard in Orlando.
Someone like went on and like bought like hotel like while we were in Orlando. They were like,
See, that's the hard.
Right.
That's why
Next.
we wait to say anything because we got to get the hotels first.
Yeah, we made sure to secure our lodging.
Although Orlando was Airbnb, and I loved that vibe.
Right.
It was like
Mhm.
it was like the real world Mosh Eisley kind of vibe. We were all under one roof, which was great, as opposed to like hotels.
Well, and two, I think the other thing that for us, the reason that we announce these things so far out is because we want everyone to be there. Like if we can give like some of our venues, we just had to make sure that they were like at least they'd heard from us. We're planning on, building the ticket packages, like all of these things. Like there's some of the venues are like we wouldn't get tickets on sale yet, or we wouldn't, like let's talk it. We don't need to worry about that right now. And for us to be able to announce it means that we have enough solidified that we want people to, the more time we can give people for travel accommodations is important for us, right? Because we want as many people to be able to come there and party and be a part of it. And sometimes just we have to lock in a couple of things to make sure that we can be safely announce it, because the last thing we would want is for someone to make a bunch of plans and things go off the rails. So we're grateful for everyone who supported this project, this weirdness, this awesomeness. Yeah, 2 cities. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
This is a new frontier for us. We can
Let's go.
just please understand that this Mosh Eisley is run by working parents and dudes in emo bands.
Big babies and emo bands.
And we are doing our very best. So I think to plan for 2 of these at a time is going to be like very interesting because I think any conversation we have is gonna be like, wait, which one are we talking about? Wait, which one are we
So
doing now?
I think every challenge, like San Diego was bigger, New York was logistics. This one's the biggest. You know, Orlando was the biggest. This one is like now we've got two
Plan
at the
for
same time.
two. Yeah, we've
So,
got twins
like
on the
we
way.
decide to add like a challenge every single time.
Yeah.
Oh my
Why? Why
God.
make it easy?
Oh, there you go, Mike. Do you want a theme? Luke and Leia, the twins.
Oh.
Oh, that's great.
There you go.
Great. That's
That's
great.
really
Yeah, we
good.
could. Yeah, get a letter from Mark Hamill's lawyers, and let's put a bow on this thing. Absolutely.
Add him on the guest list. Just add him on the guest
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think we've done it. If there's anybody have questions in the chat, I don't know that there's any other beans that we can spill at this time, but if you've got anything, if you've got any kind of wrapping comments that you want to share, let us know. Otherwise, I think that we've said what we were going to say. We got to talk about our most recent Mosh Eisley in Orlando, which was such a great time. We got to kind of recap all of our previous Mosh Eisleys and just the road to getting to where we are right now, where we have the overconfidence to feel like we can plan two at a time. And then announcing that we're doing it. We're going to, I think, two of the biggest conventions this year, which is San Diego and Dragon Con. And
I mean, I think we're hitting a lot of them. MegaCon, San Diego, and Atlanta. So
probably the biggest
If
ones.
there's
of this year.
anything,
What could we possibly have in store for next year? That's the big question.
hey, there is a Star Wars celebration in 2025 we will see. But if there's anything that I've
we gotta
learned,
sell some shirts first.
yeah, gonna have to crowdfund that one.
Yeah, please buy our shirts.
Be like,
Don't forget to
listen,
like and subscribe. And
if
buy
we
a
could
couple
sell, like, if we could sell 6 $1,200 shirts, we're golden.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
That's
it.
it. Signed
Easy.
by Nick.
Yeah.
Signed by Nick from
hey,
Vegas.
I said thumbs up.
If there's anything I've learned between like Star Cruiser and like Mosh and conventions and stuff, things when you think of them from like an individual way, like that sounds expensive, I can't do that, but like Star Cruiser was being like an expensive venture, but when you do it with your friends, it gets less expensive. When you are like, I can't go to Atlanta, I can't go to San Diego, Airbnb is too expensive, a hotel is expensive. You will find other people in the community, you will make friends, you already have friends, family, whatever it is, like you can make it more affordable. And if you're just somebody who's like, I don't know if I could pull it off, it's like, don't count yourself out right away and say, I don't know that I could pull it off. You might be able to find a way to do it. And that train of thought really started with the Star Cruiser for me, because like so much of the negativity surrounding Star Cruiser when it first came out was like, it's $6,000 a night. I'm like, not per person. Look into it for a second, so it became more affordable once we shoved 1,000 people in our room. So
Yeah.
And,
Almost literally.
and I think that was kind of the idea with us, like having it more of a mobile party where we're like, as initially it was West Coast, but we had some East Coast friends that we took it over there, and kind of going back and forth. Like it's we kind of took that band mentality of like let's move it around so everybody could party.
Yeah,
Just
and see what sticks, because I think like Nick was saying, if we have Mosh Eisleys that are incredibly successful around a convention, then we're likely going to go back year after year. Now, if there's a big celebration convention overseas, maybe that throws a little wrinkle in our plans. But I think we've seen some good success with some of the conventions that we've done, and we want to keep nurturing that because it's been great so far. I mean, it's wild to me that this is like a job for us that we do, like the logistics
and one that we take serious, and one
Yeah.
that we take serious. I think
Yeah.
on our side of things, for people to kind of look at it and go, is this what is the secret sauce that kind of keeps this whole thing together? We've already talked about the community that supported it, but also like we meet weekly and talk for hours at times about figuring out, how we can break this
Margins.
down. Yeah, margins and making things affordable and going, if we could get it cheaper to do this so that we can, make a better deal. And, if the venue is able to offer like a specific space or all this stuff that like sometimes some things are out of our hands, right? And we always want to like let people know that we appreciate them supporting this project, because like for us to be able to go and build something together with people is truly the greatest thing that we can do as adults, to be able to find new people, which is hard as adults, right? Like you sometimes feel like you've had friends for your whole life and you're like, man, but I feel like I wear new clothes now, man. I feel like I'm meeting new people, and they're, it's bringing something out of from my youth that makes me remember how much lighter I felt when I was a kid, and how much I still love these things, Star Wars, emo music. In a lot of ways, you feel exactly the same way as you did when you were seeing the Phantom Menace 25 years ago. And so for us to be able to do this and take this privilege of being able to do this and have it be supported, that matters. We take it serious. We take all the suggestions of great cities. We've talked to a lot of people about a great venue that would work, and it is awesome to be able to look at so many people and go, these are literally friends that I did not know before COVID. And that
Yeah.
like we could go to their house and we see them multiple times a year. Like I see some people that are in our Mosh Star Wars crew more than I see some of my best friends. It's insane to me. And it makes me so happy to have this community that I talk to all the time, that like a new, Bad Batch is coming back and everyone's like, let's go, this is awesome. And it's just like the coolest thing to experience as an adult. And I hope that everyone wears a little bit of black eyeliner and pats themselves on the back and takes Tylenol, because let's just keep doing this, right? Let's just keep doing this.
We can. We're going to. We've got 2 more planned this year, so I think we're all really excited for what we've got planned, for what we've already accomplished. I mean, it's only mid-February and we've thrown an amazing Mosh Eisley. We've got 2 more. It's a bit of a stretch between now and the next one, but that just gives us time to gear up and make the next ones even more special.
But how much Star Wars do we have in the meantime? Like that's what's
That's
exciting.
what's gonna fill that space right there.
100%. Like we're gonna see a costume from Bad Batch. We're gonna see a costume inspired by Acolyte, like at San Diego Comic-Con. Like it's gonna be awesome. Like let's go.
It's gonna be amazing. So I think that's it. I think we've said what we were gonna say. I think we're pumped. We finally, the worst kept secrets that we've held in Mosh Eisley are finally out and about. And that's it. We will be announcing whenever tickets go on sale on the Mosh Eisley Instagram and our Facebook. So
Make sure you're following. Make sure you're checking it constantly, because Mike he goes off the handle sometimes, and we have to post that tickets are on sale today, right now. So
I'm just like, I want tickets to go on sale now. And everyone's like, dude, just chill. And then I'll be like, I'm going to post. You watch me. I'll post right now.
Oh, I know. Somebody said, they were like, this time last year we already had tickets for San Diego. And I was like, I am well aware of how early tickets went on sale last year.
Well, too, and the other thing, like, let me also say, and like, thanks to Zach for, of course, like reminding us, is like, Princess and Scoundrel, Thank the Maker, we both have Patreons. They start at an incredibly, like, you're basically buying us a coffee every month. We're trying to figure out ways that we can always like invigorate our own, fan communities and have that be a part of it. So I don't think that we would ever do anything that's like ridiculous. We're not going to gouge anyone over being like, oh, the only way you can get a early access ticket is through joining our Patreon. Like, we're not like that, but certainly enough that, we did a exclusive color for our poster for Orlando, and this like really cool Orlando Football Club purple and yellow that was only available for the Discord members, for that you get access through Patreon on Thank the Maker. So I think you'll probably see some more things like that, and that's really because like there is so much that goes into planning these events, and the Patreon is just a small little way to be like, hey, stoked on what you guys are doing, and let's keep these things going. And we're appreciative of everyone who supported the events, but like the Patreons for both Princess and Scoundrel, for Thank the Maker, they do help us full-time parents dedicate the amount of time that it takes to run these extracurricular businesses. I feel like I haven't gone to bed before 2 a.m. in the last like 5 months. It means a lot for us to be able to kind of like justify how much work goes into it, because we do love it. And it just helps, my computer's been smoking for about a month and a half from how much work we've done. I think we all know that struggle in that regard. So the Patreons for both of us, just giving a shout out to that.
The Patreons, and if you don't want to spend the money on it and you do just want to support us as a network completely, because Mosh Eisley is put on by a network of people. It's us here at Princess Scoundrel. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please, if you're hanging out here, subscribe to our channel. We've got stuff that we do live streams like this every other week, and we've got new episodes that come out. The other guys that were here today, Mike, Nick, and Adam, they have a podcast called Think the Maker that is also on YouTube and on audio podcasts like ours is. So make sure you go over there and subscribe to them. And then we don't have Dano on today. He had work, but the Dano channel, he's on YouTube, he's on Instagram. So it's this group of friends that we found each other, and we've just become really passionate about this party that we happened into in this community that ended up evolving as a result of it. And we love you guys. Like, we're very protective of this. And so we want to make sure that we continue to create safe spaces for everybody to get together and just like rage out and have great nights together, because as adults, we don't really get to do that all that much. And so we love that we have the opportunity to like shepherd people to do these things. And so I guess my main thing is like, we're really passionate about it. We really love it. And we're trying to, as a group and as a network, continue to put these on.
You keep showing the love, and we're going to keep showing the love.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for wrapping that around for me. I started getting too in my feelings there.
We're kind of circling the base. Yeah.
Got so emo for a second. But yeah, that's it. I think Mike, Nick, you've been quiet. You got anything you want to add before we wrap up?
If I wasn't clear before, there is a small possibility, a small percentage that there is one more Mosh Eisley before the dates that we announced today. Small possibility.
Woo! Everyone says
So
high school.
don't be
is
shocked.
like Nick, yeah.
Don't be shocked.
Wait, just one, Nick? Just one?
Just one. I mean,
Oh.
Here's a throwback. 1.25 maybe.
I like
So yes, we will see.
That's that for people who are like, oh, come on, give it to us. Like, literally, there is someone who's invited us, and we are kind of waiting on them. So we're not. It's not on us. If it doesn't happen, it's not really in our hands. It would be an amazing experience for a lot of people, and we would be more than thrilled to go there and be a part of it. But it's kind of out of our hands, and at the same time, it just allows us to focus on these other ones that are going to be amazing in their own right. So, yeah, for sure. If it happens, people, like and subscribe, follow the channels. You'll be the first to hear about it. So, and we would be thrilled to do it. It's out of our hands. So let's just focus on the two for now.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Nate.
Yes, Nate, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate that.
Says Mosh Eisley people are the best people.
They are the best people.
Nate, my man.
There we go.
The Star Cruiser chime. Ugh, it hits deep. All right, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much, Mike, Nick. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yes,
Everybody
thank you
that's
guys.
here,
I love it
on
here.
YouTube, on Instagram, Princess, you can stay as long as you want.
I love it. It's great here.
It's nice and cozy, right?
Yeah, that's what we like.
It's a little cozy little podcast.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. This has been an absolute treat to hang out with you guys here on screen and with everybody in the chat. We
YouTube,
cannot
Instagram, like and subscribe and all that stuff.
do all the things. Click all the bells, the buttons, smash them, like them, hit them, whatever you're supposed to do all of those things. We appreciate you for it. And stay tuned. We will be announcing tickets for our next Mosh Eisleys very soon.